Oh, hey there, folks. I'm popping on to let you know that this is part 2 of 2 with the lovely Rachel Green. If you missed last week, it's possibly still on demand here on Sirius, and just go back and listen if you can. Otherwise, this week might make a little less sense, but it's still hilarious, and you will still get all of the lovely information about tour dates and where you can find her and her new podcast, The Boss Bitch Show, which she has with an earlier guest, Kirsten O'Brien. All of the information is posted in the show notes. And yeah, just make sure that you follow her stuff and support her. She's very, very funny. And she's worked on one of my favorite shows on television. And so I will never stop being jealous of her because she has been in real time in the same room as Mariska Hargitay. And that is just, my jealousy knows no bounds. So yeah, make sure you find Rachel on all of the things. And this is part 2 of 2. So let's get on with the show. Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles. And at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So let's eat. I'd like to welcome our guest, comic, actor, violinist, singer, and VO artist, Rachel Green. Yes, I said the name you know from a very famous show, but this is her actual name. She's not doing a bit. Rachel is the other half of the wildly successful live comedy show in New York City, The Boss Bitch Show, that is also now a podcast. And you will know her from the TV, though, because she's been on a lot of my favorite shows, but one of them was Law and Order SVU, and I'm definitely asking her about that. The Flight Attendant, Inventing Anna, which all of you are obsessed with, just to name a few, and has been described as someone who will make you laugh while reading your energy with a crystal up your butt, which is a great quote. And she would absolutely fit in LA.
It's actually fun. But as far as odd, actually what comes to mind when I worked at the ice cream shop, oh, bless his heart, the owner was really sweet, but he was an alcoholic and a pothead. And one day he locked himself in the freezer by accident. And so...
Oh my God.
So they had to I don't know, I think they had to he was in there for a while because, it was either me or my friend Jamie. And I think neither of us was there. And poor thing, bless. I hope he's still alive. I don't know.
Wait, did he end up with hypothermia or anything? Did he have to go to the hospital?
No, I think it was only 2 hours. So he was just really cold,
Oh my God. And so was he just banging and somebody finally hurt him?
I probably, I wasn't there for that, but I remember my friend telling me.
Hearing about it after the fact. Oh, bless.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You seem to have a pretty chill vibe, so there may not be an answer to this, but was there ever an incident where they asked to speak to your manager? They wanted to escalate something, or even, I guess at a wedding, if you're hired out as a contractor, there's not a boss to go to, but.
Oh, yeah. Fuck those people. God. Can I speak to your manager?
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh my God, you know what I did once? Ew, I forgot. Your brain deletes shit. It's really funny.
It does. Control-Alt-Delete it.
I did cold calling for Publishers Clearinghouse.
No, you didn't. No, that sounds like an actual nightmare.
That fucking sucked. Oh my God, I forgot about all this shit. I also sold knives for Cutco.
No, you didn't. You're not a Cutco knife girl. Oh my God. You have to write this down. I'm dead.
I totally, literally my brain erased it. Holy shit.
Wait, we have to go back to Publishers Clearinghouse because we have an international audience. Yeah. They may not know what that is. Can you give us a little background?
Oh, okay. So, so Publishers Clearinghouse, I don't know what, I guess they sell magazines and then they have a sweepstakes, right? Where people can win money. They would show commercials on TV where they'd show up to your door with a big check. And I would call these people to get them to subscribe to magazines and buy burpee seeds, to grow plants. And they'd be like, did I win? And I'm like, no. I'm really sorry. If you buy something, you can be entered to win the sweepstakes. And, poor thing. Oh, that was such a oof.
How long did you last that job?
The Cutco sucked too, yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Door-to-door salesmen?
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and it got,
dicey?
It was mostly family friends. But my dad got so pissed off because he was like, They are like working you like a dog. You're not making any money. And my dad is like this really sweet, passive dude. But man, if you piss him off the right way,
He
watch
comes
out.
for you.
He called up and he was like, "How dare you?" Blah, blah, blah. And the dude was like, just speechless. Yeah.
Well, but Cutco knife selling, as I understand it, is commission only, right? So you only
Yeah.
make
and it's not good. And it's pyramid marketing. So, you know what I mean? It's multi-level marketing. So you're never going to be at the top, you know? So that's why that sucks. Oh, my God. I worked for Primerica for a little bit for one summer.
I don't know what that is.
That's multi-level marketing for financial services.
Ooh.
So like, woof.
Big woof.
Yeah, I learned a lot that summer.
I'll bet.
And that one we were actually going door to door. And I think I lasted for maybe 2 weeks. Or no, like a month. Yeah, I mean the weird thing is that like you can actually like go train and get like your Series 7 and like actually sell financial services, but it is multi-level marketing. So there always is someone above you. You know?
So you would go knock door to door in various neighborhoods and be like, "Hey, are you interested in investing in a 401k kind of thing?"
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying. And would people be like, were people getting tricked? Or it was like it wasn't like Bernie Madoff. There actually was a 401k.
No, I mean, the services themselves were legitimate, right?
Oh, okay.
Like they did like insurance and maybe like 401k stuff and maybe some investing, but like not like stocks. I don't even remember. And it still exists. That's the crazy part. Like it's still out there. I think for some people, like it works. They've been successful with it.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Well, some people look, if multi-level marketing only works because some people are successful. It's like Mary Kay that everybody talks about is technically multi-level marketing, but I know people that have the car. So it's like, well, it's working for somebody or it wouldn't get to continue.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Cutco knife thing, how long did you last at that? I think you already answered this. Sorry, but I can't remember. Did you say 2 weeks?
No, that was Primerica. Cutco was maybe 2 months.
Oh, okay. So you were more committed. And then your dad snapped because he was like, she's making no money doing this.
Yeah. He was like, she's working her ass off. She's, these knives are really expensive. She's like making all our family and friends feel weird.
He's like, please save us.
Yeah. But I think mostly it was just like, the commission was really shitty, for all the work I was putting in, because every time you did it, you would have to go to someone's house and you were giving like at least an hour-long presentation. I will say this though, they're really good knives. I still have the set and like they don't get dull. It's crazy.
That's awesome. You're like, I'll still sell it right now. Do any of your listeners need a knife? Well, if you do, slide into Rachel's DMs because she's got a contact at Cutco.
Oh my God.
I love it.
No. Yeah.
So because of the way that those jobs work, though, you have to have been recruited by a friend or family member to start the sale, right? Like you didn't seek out Cutco and say, hey, I want to be a sales rep. Or did you?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
No, I think they were smart and they, I think they like advertised, God, I mean, I was like 17.
Bless, girl.
I don't even know if like Craigslist existed back then. Maybe I looked in the penny saver.
You're like, I'm going to sell knives.
No, they don't present it like that. They're like, learn to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, for fuck's sake. One of the free workshop.
That's how they sold it.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
That's exactly how they did it. Both that and Primerica were like, yeah, come and get this job and learn to manage your finances and be an entrepreneur and endless the income potential. I don't know.
No cap on income. You're about to change your whole fucking life. You're like, cool, I will absolutely go to this workshop.
Yeah. And, I was in school for finance. So I was like, oh, this is going to be like great to put on my resume.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm building my marketing and sales experience. Ugh.
Bless your heart. Okay. Was there ever like a last straw? I know you said with the wedding job, you were like, oh, I'm about to become real jaded if I stick around. But was there a final wedding where you were like, this is about to be my last wedding ever? Or in any of your jobs were you like, minus your dad calling on your behalf, was there a moment when you were like, flip a table, I'm out this bitch?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. Oh, definitely in my executive assistant job, but I know that's not necessarily servicey as
Oh, it is.
or
Oh, it
as
is.
yeah, my old boss at my current company, in hindsight, might be on the spectrum. And no judgment for being on the spectrum, but he just really didn't have a lot of social skills.
Sure.
And so, he just said whatever came to his mind. There was no nuance. And oftentimes I wouldn't hear from him because eventually he just was working remotely. I wouldn't hear from him unless that I fucked something up in his mind. It was I will only call you if you screw something up. And I was like, what the hell?
That's weird.
And one day, and he was also kind of a baby,
a man?
It was
no way.
I know, shocking.
I better not. I don't hate men. Men are great.
No, I don't either.
This isn't a man-hating experience, but also, what? Sorry, keep going.
No, it's fine. I remember there was I don't remember what the actual thing was, right? But let's say I had worked really hard on something and he just completely neglected all the work that I had done and then did something completely the opposite of all this work I had done. And I walked into his, and he had also was notorious for wanting to cancel meetings last minute. And the clients would be so pissed.
Of course.
And then they'd get mad at me or I'd be the suggestion, complaint box. And I'd be like, I'm really sorry. They're like, why is he like that? He's the worst, blah, blah, blah. He can't do this. This is a relationship business. I'm like, I know.
I got you. I get it.
He'd be like, do I have to go to this dinner tonight? I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah. You're
in charge.
Yeah. So I remember one day I just stormed into his office and I was like, I can't, you can't do this. And he was like, settle down. And I was like,
oh no.
Fucking tell me this. I was like.
You're like, I'm about to become the girl that I was at 13 in your face right now.
Exactly. Yes. She unfortunately comes out from time to time. But yeah. And I ended up twice when I worked for him going and interviewing with other companies, getting a job offer, but then eventually turning it down because we have a really good work-life balance. Hence why I still work there and I'm able to do all my creative endeavors.
Yeah, I mean, and that matters. But it is that sort of weird handcuff situation of if you find a survival job that will allow you to be creative, you'll tolerate more than you should. And I think a lot of companies exploit that because sure, you can definitely, do your thing. We're so supportive of that. And we're going to neg you into thinking you're only worthy of this particular position. All that kind of shit drives me nuts.
Yeah, the prior company to that, they were very much like that. They were like, Rachel, wow, you're so good at dealing with difficult personalities. So here we're going to reward you with
a difficult personality. Oh, it's so unfair.
And I had, oh man, the boss there, we kind of had an unhealthy kind of work husband wife kind of relationship. We were too friendly. I knew his kids. And one day they stupidly configured the desks outside of the offices so that my back was facing him. And rather than same time me or whatever that was, or message me or call me, he decided to start throwing stress balls at the window of his office.
No.
So I would hear splat, splat. And I turned around and I ran into his office. I was like, and we were too close. So, we would cross paths. I'd be like, I said, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? I was like, what are you, a child?
Good job, you.
He's like, well, I needed to get your attention. I'm like,
call me. Do anything other than throw shit at a window, guy.
Anything.
Oh my God. And so did he stop throwing stress balls at the window after you asked him what was wrong with him?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
And it's funny too. I mean, other than that, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
I was just starting to get into acting at that point, and he actually dated Marcia Gay Harden in college.
Whoa.
So I got to go to the screening of one of her indie films that she made, and Joey Pantaleone was there. Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
So, yeah. So
So there were some good things, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
But and I feel like my brain has erased a lot of the wedding stuff because some of it was so awful that it just...
It's
Or
interesting.
oftentimes the food was really shitty.
Always. Well, it's mass
Yeah.
produced.
Or they wouldn't feed us. And we'd be like, we're humans. Hello.
Isn't it interesting? It's like, oh, well, you're at your job. It's like, yeah, but like this job is like a, I don't know, 18-hour day and I'm not allowed to technically take a break. So at some point between the ceremony and the reception, can I get a cracker? Like, the we're human thing is a real common, it's a real common overlook. Have you ever told a customer to fuck off?
Oh, I don't think that I have, even though in my brain I really wanted to.
Oh yeah, we do it in our brains a lot, folks. We do.
I don't think I have. I think I probably never wanted to burn my bridges.
Yeah, I'm that way too. It's a bummer.
Did I ever tell anyone to fuck off? No, I've been a customer and told the people on the phone to fuck off once.
Wait, why?
It was a scam. That's why.
Well, good job, you.
Yeah, it was warranted. It was one of those like
taking advantage.
The IRS is coming to arrest you right now, and I was like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, good. Yeah, I feel like it's the sort of prison of being an empath is when you can feel other people's emotions. You don't get joy out of telling people to fuck off, and you don't get joy out of being mean. So it's like, fuck. If only I got a little bit of joy out of that, I'd have way better boundaries. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think my mom just drilled into my head, just like,
be polite.
Don't fuck off, don't fuck yourself over, because in the end it'll bite you in the ass, kind of thing. And I only got fired once. I worked for a friend of mine's dad. One summer, and he had his own business, and his entire business was in an Excel spreadsheet. Like, that's a bad idea.
Correct.
If you have like an actual like insurance business, like you need like a system, And even though I was a finance major, like I didn't know how to he thought I was going to like revamp his systems and like, get his shit running. And I was like, first of all, I don't really know how to do this. Second of all, I was in college and I was working with my best friend at the time. So all I wanted to do was like fuck around.
Yeah.
So he fired me.
Fuck him. Whatever. He did you a favor.
Yeah, fuck him.
He's like, revamp my system. Okay, dude.
I was like, what? It was also more of an accounting job. And I was a finance person. So
those are different things, apparently. Question mark. Those are different things.
Well, I had to take accounting to complete the finance degree. But accounting is more like, the debits and the credits and the adding and the balance sheet and all that stuff. Finance is more like, the stock market.
Okay. I really genuinely didn't know that until right now. Thank you for explaining that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you personally tip?
Oh my God. Yeah.
How much?
At least 20%, if not more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because even though I was never a server, I have so many friends who have been servers and just know how hard they work. And also from the small time that I bartended, they're not, in the US at least, right? They're not making a great base salary. No. So, my tips are going to make the difference. And also I try to think about it. I'm like, what? Giving this person an extra $5? That's like a latte. Mm-hmm. Like, I can afford this, and show them my appreciation. And it always, I don't do it for the benefit, but it's like, as a result, if you go back to that place, they're probably going to give you like a free drink or like a free dessert or just like be really happy to see you. And you both have a pleasant experience. Yeah. I remember I had a coworker who was like, you just say hi to anyone you feel like it. And I was like, yeah. Like it could be someone on the street. I'd be like, oh, hi, good morning. And, or like genuinely sometimes people in coffee shops get really like, I'm like, how are you? They're like,
because they don't get asked. They don't get asked.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm genuinely asking you, how are you? How's your day going? They're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there ever a situation where you wouldn't tip? In an expected, like if you were at a restaurant or a bar or whatever, would you ever not?
No, I can't. It's like not. Okay. I think maybe I'll give 15%. Like that's my fuck you.
Isn't that funny? That's my baseline fuck you too. Or change on the table in addition to the rest of the tip.
Like even the worst Uber driver, I think I've still given like a 15%.
Of course. It's just ingrained in us. It's such what another thing that we can exploit. And it's also that empath thing. It's like they could just be having a bad day.
Totally. Yeah.
Now you've described some like terrible situations, so you may have already answered this, but the last question in this section is always who's the worst customer you've ever had to interact with, and or the archetype of who would be the worst. So if you can't think of like a specific incident, just give me like a general.
I'm trying to think.
No, you've answered. I mean, you've given a ton of really great stories about who would be terrible. So I don't want to. Yeah.
No, I'm sure there was though. You know, it's just it really is fascinating how the brain
won't let you go there
and chooses what you.
Well,
it's always when you. I think a huge pet peeve for me, and this is just humanity in general, is just people who don't listen. Ooh. Right? Like who they just want to interrupt you. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And oh man. Okay. Well, it's not really a customer situation, but it'll make sense.
Okay.
Because in a certain sense, she was more of a colleague, right? So the shitty boss, not the ball throwing boss, but the other one that was like, settle down. That's not how he talks, but anyway.
It is though. It is.
He's like Indian. He's not, a monster. Settle down. Yeah. So he had like two bosses. He had like his direct boss, and then there was like the dotted line boss that, and he was the head of a committee, and they would have these meetings, and of course things would get changed at the last minute. And there would be like presentations that I would have to print out. And of course, I would have to reprint them 5 minutes before the meeting. So I'd be like, oh my God, this printer. And of course it was like color. So it wasn't coming out fast. So I'm literally sending it to 3 different printers so I can try to do it within time because everyone's at the meeting and they're very senior and, it's all going to fall on my head. And in the midst of all this, his boss's assistant, who was, for lack of a better word, a fucking cunt. And
those 2 words.
And I try to reclaim words like cunt, and put them in a positive light. But in this situation, she was, asshole.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to talk to me. And I'm like, I listen, I gotta go. Like, I'm trying to get this thing. I'll call you right back. Right. And I hang up. And she calls me back and she's like, how dare you hang? And she's from Staten Island, right? How dare you hang up on me? You need to know your boss works for my boss. And so therefore, and I was like,
ma'am.
And I walked over to her desk and I said, first of all, the only people that yell at me in this life are my parents, and they don't even get to do that. So what the hell are you doing? We're not performing brain surgery here. This is a fucking presentation. I'm trying to, get ready for this committee. You don't get to talk to me like that. And she was like,
aghast. Just couldn't handle it.
Because no one would ever talk back to her.
Because she was because of who she was connected to.
Uh-huh.
So then did she beta and just say, okay, my bad?
Oh, she didn't talk to me for a week.
Oh, grow up.
Real mature. And like at least 15 years, 20 years older than me. Like real mature.
Yeah.
Know? And, I called her up and I said, listen, we're going to have to work together. Can we sit down? And she was like, okay. And so we met in a conference room and she's like, I'm just under a lot of pressure and blah, 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 blah. And I said, I understand that. But seriously, we're not in an emergency room. We're not saving people's lives. This is insurance. Like, it's going to be okay. And you don't need to yell at me. And like, I really, please,
Yeah.
So
that's the worst. I get it. I mean, but you handled it really well and you squashed it. So good job, you.
Thank you.
You even made it positive in the negative section. All right. Well, folks,
thank you.
We're moving to the good stuff. We hope you saved room for dessert. Okay. This is the positive section. All right, Miss Green. What's the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
The nicest thing.
It's always the hardest one for people to answer. There's always a very long pause before.
Right. We don't remember the good shit. We focus on the bad shit.
Well, and also it's kind of rare if we're being honest. But yes, we do. Our brains go negative.
There was one wedding where they were so impressed by us that they gave my dad and I $100 each tip,
That's lovely.
like a nice crisp $100 bill. And as like a 17-year-old, that was pretty like, whoa.
Girl, I'd be stoked on that now, today. That's awesome.
Same. Yeah. That I remember that like sticks out to me. And
is that standard practice to need to tip the videographer? I don't think I've been to 6,000 weddings. I didn't know that.
It is standard practice, or it was. I don't know. But like sometimes it would be like $75 for the two of you. You know, rather than like
you're like, we can't even split this evenly. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, my dad's keeping a crisp 50. Like,
my dad was so sweet. He would just like let me keep the whole thing.
Bless him.
A mensch. Yeah. Yeah, and that box.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That beautiful box. Like they didn't have to give that to us. There was another wedding that I wasn't a part of it, but my dad did. That was like on a vineyard, and they gave him like a bottle of wine and a bottle of champagne.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah. So would you say that that those would be, because the next question in the section is usually what's the best tip you've ever gotten? So is that around, because you've worked fewer tipped positions than not. So was that around the best you ever got? Or did somebody like treat you like shit as a videographer, but then they handed you, a G?
Oh, yeah. I think probably like $100 was probably the most I ever got tipped. Yeah. Yeah. I guess occasionally there were people who would be really shitty, and then they would give you a great tip, and you'd be like, "Oh, well, okay."
Isn't that interesting? It's such an odd.
I guess it was worth it.
Yeah, it's an odd choice to me, though. I'm like, I'd actually rather you not be shitty. Like, if I could choose between the two, because I'm exchanging my time for this. So
yeah, and they were long ass fucking days. Because first of all, we'd have to get up, we'd have to pack the car full of tons of equipment, right? Drive to the church, wherever the heck that was, right? That would be, at least a half hour, minimum usually. Sometimes it was like upstate, so it would be an hour and a half. And then, you got to set up, and then, but by the time you're done, I mean, you're starting your day at maybe 10 a.m. and you're ending it at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Because, by the time the reception is over and you have to, unpack all the shit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good to know that it's standard practice to tip. A videographer, I need to know that. Okay. What's the best?
Are you getting married?
Girl. No. I just need to, no, because the next opportunity I have to be in a wedding. No, thank you. Please don't ask me. I will just, notice that. Okay. What's the best time that you've ever personally had at work, at any of your jobs?
Getting drunk at holiday parties.
Yeah. No one's ever said that. And it's always a really good time. It's sloppy, but it's always a really good time.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially with a bunch of finance bros. I bet you have a...
And, oh my God. It's so funny too, because I was telling someone the story recently. There was one time we had a holiday party and everyone was just getting slammed, just like,
Yeah.
And then of course we would go to the bar after and drink more, because that's what we needed.
That's what you do.
Right? And someone would throw down their card. And I started making out with this kid that I would never make out with if I was sober. Like never. In years.
I love that.
And we're like, sucking face at the bar, and he's like groping me. And my friends are like, what the fuck, Rachel? Seriously? And I was like, I don't care. And to make matters worse, this is where it gets real good. He leaves to go to the bathroom. And some other dude, not from our company, swoops in.
Oh, he did the tag in. Oh,
sits down, buys me a drink, and then takes me home.
Yeah, he pulled the robbery. That is so impressive.
I left with him. And then my friend is like furiously texting me, like, bitch, you're wasted. Why are you going to let a stranger in your house? And I was like, no, we're just going to fuck. No big deal. Like, it happens. I'm an adult. I whatever. I have condoms. It's fine.
I bet that poor kid was like, motherfucker, if only I had a bigger bladder, I wouldn't have lost my moment. I would have especially because he was punching outside of his weight class, and you're like, nah, I'm going with the dude that pulled the robbery. That's amazing.
Yeah, he came back and I was gone.
Wow. Did you guys ever talk about the makeout, or was it just like it never happened?
Nope.
Oh, holiday party drama. That's amazing. Okay. What is the best lesson you've personally learned from working in customer service?
Oh my God. I guess patience is a virtue.
Come on.
Like, yeah, I think I learned a lot of patience, but I also learned like, it's okay to like have boundaries too,
Sure.
and yeah, you kind of do that dance, of like, if it is very service related, you have to kind of be like, okay, the customer's always right until they're not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that.
That's great. No, I don't think anyone's ever said that. And because I don't want to leave without asking, so how did you know Reiki was going to be the thing that you were going to be able to transition and get into? Because I feel like that's such a derivative. I mean, you're an empath, so.
Yeah. So, okay. So in the midst of my finance degree and trudging through it and being miserable, Boston University is a big school. So, there was a lot of cool electives that I could take, right? And I did this thing called alternative spring break because I was like, I don't want to go to fucking Cancun and get wasted with a bunch of assholes, right?
Yeah.
So my friend and I decided to do this thing called the Heifer Project, which is a worldwide organization that helps fight hunger by providing indigenous animals and teaching them and then paying it forward. And it's a really cool thing. So their training camp, I'm making this way longer than I need to, but it's a cool story. So
keep going.
So it's down in Perryville, Arkansas, right? They're like training camp. And they have a global village and it's a whole thing. And you learn about, how screwed up how resources around the world are so, unevenly distributed and all this stuff. And I met these cool kids and they were like, you have to take this course. And I was like, what? They're like, it's called Stalking the Wild Mind. Shut the fuck up. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like, I could take that as a class. What? And it was literally all things metaphysical, right? So we learned about Qigong and acupuncture and tarot and astral projection and past life regressions. And my brain was like, what? This is amazing, And this was like before a lot of this stuff is now
mainstream.
I guess more mainstream, And it's more like in the vernacular. And I was just like, what the fuck? This is so cool. Oh my God, And like my grandpa always had crystals. So I was like, and I had always gravitated towards them, but I didn't know why. And I would play with them. And I'd had a couple of like really interesting experiences with like, I don't know if you want to call it spirits or angels or energy or, as a kid. And this was just like, whoa. So Reiki was one of the things that was it? I don't remember how the curriculum was set up, but essentially I went into one of these cool shops, like where they sell crystals and tarot shit and woo-woo witchy shit, right? And chimes and, and I was buying a deck of tarot cards. And the woman behind the counter, somehow we got into a conversation that she was a Reiki master. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And she was like, yeah, like, feel free to come check it out. And I did a little research. I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. Like energy work and I can channel energy with my hands. And then for your final project, you pick one of the sort of modalities and you like research it and you do a paper on it. And so there was a group of us that wanted to do the Reiki. So we went to this woman, Angela, and I had a dream the night before that I was going to be the one receiving the session, the treatment. And I went into the room with these other kids the next day. And I said, she goes, so who's going to, do it? And I said, me. She's like, yeah, that's what I thought. And I lay down on the table and she like is doing the work on me. And I'm like, oh my God, this feels amazing. And my body immediately is like, whoa. And she goes, they want me to attune you. And I said, what? She goes, yeah, the spirit guides, they want me to attune you. And I was like, cool. And then like...
that was it. That was it.
And then like a month later, I was, taking classes and receiving my attunements with her. And it was like a really powerful experience. Yeah. And then I just, kept doing it. And yeah, I did have clients and I loved it. And at the time, again, it was like not as mainstream or as well known as it is now. And so, it if I wanted to work at like a spa or any sort of place, they wanted me to have something else, like whether it was massage or acupuncture or reflexology or some other modality that was more tangible,
Sure.
you know? And I was just like, ugh, I don't like people's feet. Gross. Okay.
Same, girl.
I thought I did the research. I mean, I thought about becoming a masseuse. I thought about studying Ayurveda. I thought about becoming an acupuncturist. I thought about, you know, reflexology and all kinds of shit. And then, you know, yeah. But eventually I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to sustain on this, you know?
Yeah.
So,
that's lovely. I'm glad I asked. That's a very interesting story.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Last question in this section. What is one piece of advice you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Treat people the way you want to be treated.
So easy. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Be nice.
Yeah. Oh God.
You know?
And you'd think it'd just be a
not
reflex.
hard.
No,
It's
it's
so
really
much easier.
It's so much easier. I say this all the time. I will scream into the grave saying that. It's just easier to be kind. It just is.
And it's also just like, you know, it not only makes them feel good, it makes you feel good.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Whoa, Rachel, how can people get in touch with you? How can people not in NYC see the Boss Bitch show? Where's the podcast going to be? Tell us, how do people get eyes and ears on you and hear your lovely VO work? Because I'm sure it's awesome. The voices you've done on this podcast, I'm like, my God.
Oh,
it's
I
amazing.
also used to narrate Harlequin novels.
No, you didn't. That's awesome. We have so many things to talk about offline. I can't wait.
Yeah, I tell a joke about it. I'm like, my favorite line is, his eyes met her gaze and heat slithered along his dick.
That's an actual line you had to record for a book? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, how can people find you? Get them. Oh, sorry. What'd you say? I stepped on your line. What'd you say?
No, I was just going to say there's like 3 of them that are still on Audible. If you look up Rachel Green as a narrator, and you can hear me narrate really shitty romance novels.
I love it.
And one of them was so erotic that I had to create a pseudonym. And my pseudonym was Paula Fleetwood.
Oh my God.
My middle name in the street I grew up on.
Oh, that would be your stripper name too. That's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And that one was called Hungry for More.
Okay, so we look up Paula Fleetwood with Hungry for More on Audible, or Rachel Green narrating dirty books.
Yeah.
All right, well, how else can people get in touch with you, see you?
Yes. So on all the socials, I am the one Rachel Green. So and then the number 1, Rachel Green. And my website is rachelgreen.nyc.
Oh, nice.
And because, you know,
that's where you is.
Was taken.
Yeah.
And we are all things Boss Bitch show. You know, Instagram is kind of our main hub. So it's Boss Bitch Show. And we're also on TikTok and Facebook. It's just Boss Bitch Show, but it's like without the I, so that we don't get blocked and banned by all these prudies.
Yeah.
Our podcast launch, it's coming out. Yeah. So we do have a 0 episode up that gives you like a little taste,
Ooh.
a little descriptor of what you have in store. So please subscribe. And that's the Boss Bitch Show podcast.
Amazing.
And, you know, anywhere you stream stuff, Spotify, Apple, you know, Anchor, all that fun stuff.
That's great.
And did I forget anything? I think that's it.
And so you're the one Rachel Green. Green does not have an E on it. Look for the spelling, and all this info will be in the show notes, folks. And if you're listening to us on Sirius right now, we will have, you'll still be able to get all this information. And folks, we are going to drop your checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen. It will help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind, and will be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here directly at Service from Hell, send us your receipts to servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you, Sirius, for having us again on She's So Funny. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thank you so much for being on. Rachel, you were a delight. This was so lovely.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to have to get you and Kirsten, I feel like doing you guys together, and I don't know. There's more fun to be had because y'all have a whole lot more stories to tell. So thank you for your time.
We'd love to.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Good night. But you're a delight. This was so fun.
Yay,
I
so
really
are you.
appreciate it. You understood the assignment exactly like Kirsten. You got it. You knew it was an opportunity to tell funny stories. Like, I can't tell you the number of comics who come on here who just want to be sad. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
this isn't that. This isn't that. But yeah, you totally got it.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because we've had a similar experience as well, and like you said, we're like learning as we go, right?
Yeah.
And there are a couple of people that like their stage performance, like their presence is hilarious and boisterous and charming. And then we podcasted with them and we were like,
The fuck.
oh,
Yeah.
this sucks. Like, and
Yeah.
it doesn't suck, but it was just so
Hard.
not what we expected. And like, we've had episodes where it's like, it's that perfect balance of everything you're looking for because, we are sex positive. We are witchy woo woo. We do both talk about trauma and therapy and all that stuff. And we've had episodes where we have just like ridden the wave with people and been like, oh my God, that was perfection. And like, we learned shit. Like the guest was so good that we were like, what the, oh my God. Like I felt like I had a therapy session, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you
no,
got
this
it.
was great.
Thank you for doing it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
And shit, you had my brain like, whoa.
Isn't it crazy?
I forgot about that. Fuck. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's
Like,
crazy.
I forgot
Yeah. The
just
number
how
of
many.
Yeah. Well, especially if
many
you're
jobs?
creative, you've done 6,000 of these jobs and it's hard to remember them because a lot of them we don't want to remember. So yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rachel, it was really lovely meeting you. Thank you for your time.
You too.
And I'll send you everything when I have it. Oh, hey there, folks. That's going to do it for us for part 2 with the lovely Rachel Green. Make sure you find her on all of the socials as we wrapped up this episode and you heard all of the handles and you know how to get in touch with her. Go see her and all the things. She's lovely. But that's going to do it for us here this week with part 2. Thank you, folks, so much for listening. Good night.